Just a quick note before the video begins, a lot of people that watch the videos on my channel aren't subscribed. Subscribe, it's free, you could unsubscribe at any time. And now onto the video, enjoy.
Hey, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I don't want to, go on and on about this post thing, but I just want to remind you that in that post, my one and only personal declaration I've ever made, thanks for being so warm and welcoming, was about the need for fragility in the feminist movement. It's gonna be important. And when I mentioned women who look like me, I didn't mean white like me. I mean the kind of women who, other people might not believe because they think, oh, well, look at her, she fucking deserves it or whatever. There's a lot of people like that, and I just think it's sad that the women I mentioned about, whether they sing about dancing for money or whatever, the same stuff, by the way, that I've been singing about and chronicling for 13 years. That's why I'm in that echelon. Yes, they are my friends and peers and contemporaries. The difference is when I get on the pole, people call me a whore. But when Twigs gets on the pole, it's art. So, I'm reminded constantly by my friends that lyrically there are layers and complicated psychological, factors that play into some of my songwriting. But I just want to say, the culture is super sick right now, and the fact that they want to turn my posts, my advocacy for fragility into a race war, it's really bad. It's actually really bad, especially when in that same declaration I was talking again about the idea of how important it is to make reparations to the Navajo community because they touched me so much in my youth, and that I believe in personal reparations because it's the right thing to do. And I think what's really sad is, like, as a personal advocate, as a girl's girl, as somebody who wants the best for every culture, when Marianne Williamson was talking about reparations to the black community that never got done during the emancipation period, that was why I liked her, because I always felt that way. So I just want to say to all of the other women out there who are like me, good girls, good intentioned, who get fucked up the ass constantly by the culture just because you say what you really mean. I'm with you, and I feel for you, and I know that you feel for me, and I'm super strong. You can call me whatever. I'm sorry that I didn't add one Caucasian, 100% Caucasian person into the mix of the women that I admire, but it really says more about you than it does about me. And I think that what's interesting is the very first time I decided to tell you anything about my life, or the fact that I'm writing books that chronicle that fragility, that 200,000 hateful, spiteful comments come in, and my phone number leaked, and comments like, you fucking white bitch, it's the opposite of the spirit of an advocate. It's what causes fragility, but it's not gonna stop me, period. So I just want to say, nobody gets to tell your story except for you, and even if that means it's kind of messy like this along the way, because unfortunately, when you have a good heart, it doesn't always shine through, and you trudge on anyway. You make those personal reparations to heal your own family karmic lineage and the sickness of this country. Domestic abuse, mental health problems is the second epidemic that's arising out of this pandemic. It's a real thing. That's what I was talking about. So, as ever, I'm grateful that my muse is still here, and that I have, over the last 3 years, been blessed to have the insight and ability to channel 2 books worth of beautiful poems. And, I think my new record, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, is special as well. And you know, I'm sorry that a couple of the girls I talked to, you know, who were mentioned in that post have a super different opinion of, you know, my insight, and especially because we've been so close for so long. But it really, again, makes you reach into the depth of your own heart and say, well, am I good intentioned? And of course, for me, the answer is always yes. I barely ever share a thing. And this is why, you know. And the reason why I'm making this post, and I know it seems a bit much, right? But there are women out there like me who have so much to give and, you know, don't quite get to the place spiritually or karmically where they're supposed to be, because there are other women who hate them and try and take them down, whether in my case it's certain alternative singers or, you know, malintended journalists or, you know, men who hate women, you know. But I'm not the enemy, and I'm definitely not racist, so don't get it twisted. Nobody gets to tell your story except for you. And that's what I'm going to do in the next couple of books. So God bless.
Alright, so we're live, and before we talk about this, I just want to say, for headphones users, my microphone should block this out, but you might hear like a repeated banging. They're doing construction around the house, and they're like changing a bunch of stuff. So if you hear that banging, that's probably why. My microphone has a pop filter on it, and it's a pretty decent microphone, so it should mute it out, so you shouldn't be able to hear it. And onto Lana's statement, obviously I omitted the F off part because you can't have that on YouTube, but I'm really happy with the statement. I feel like she mentioned a lot of points that I brought up as well. And I was really upset that a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of like just mainstream media outlets, they just took like the first paragraph in her post, and they didn't like read the whole thing clearly. They just took the first paragraph and used that to explain why she was being racist. And in my original video, I said, hey, I really don't think she's being racist by the way this paragraph is worded. I did argue like, yeah, it's definitely a poorly written paragraph. And the comparison, she could have not made a blanket statement that, hey, all these acts have songs about stripping, nudity, etc. But when I do it, and when I, even with my songs with substance, I'm the one that gets like the most criticism out of it. I feel like she could have worded it that way, as opposed to being like, hey, all these singers singing about like sex and nudity, and I make good songs about actual real things, and I'm the one getting criticized. I feel like that's the way it kind of like connected. I really don't think she's racist at all. Especially, I feel like a lot of people doing that is are like definitely reaching, not racist, I misspoke, but I feel like a lot of people like following that opinion are definitely reaching. And she said in this video, so she said, hey, all those acts that I mentioned them because I respect them. I mentioned them because I feel like they're my peers, and I feel like that's why I like competition, and that's the people I look up to. So that's the reason I mentioned them. And I don't think she'll face that much backlash for it. I saw the funniest meme, and it was Lana holding like a phone, like taking a selfie, and there was like fire in the background, and someone tweeted like Lana and her fans using witchcraft to make this whole to make Doja cancel, to take attention off her, which it wasn't the case. But I'll get into my Doja Cat situation soon too. I feel like Doja is a more interesting one. I feel like this is, I literally just feel like this post was just like misworded and written poorly. I feel like a lot of people didn't exactly follow the whole entire post or read the whole post. And her point, I get it. There's definitely, I've seen it on Twitter where like certain female creators would post like either a song or like a picture of themselves, or especially more so in the gaming community, not so much in the music industry, but I guess in the music industry it happens too, where like a female creator would post something, and then whether it be a song, whether it be a tweet, whether it just be their thoughts, and you scroll down the comments and they're just out of pocket, like it's not even criticism, it's just out of pocket disrespect. Like I remember I'm really into like gaming and like YouTubing and all that other stuff, so I follow some YouTubers. Obviously I'm a YouTuber, but I remember like Pokemon posted a selfie, and like people, and like there were certain guys in the comments just being like hella toxic for like no reason. Like it's one thing to have like a valid criticism, but like straight out of pocket disrespect, I feel like that's unwarranted. And I feel like I get what Lana is trying to say. I definitely do. I feel like all these let's get into journalism, because I feel like a lot of journalists, there's some bad ones out there, and they'll literally write like a shit post just so like people would go and click on it. Like it's probably not the true feelings. They're definitely over like exaggerating their feelings, and that's what people like. That's what people want to see. So they go and they click on it, and it's like, oh my god, this is the worst album of all time. And then you check it out, and hey, it's not really a bad album. Or like, I can't believe this person said this, and you click, and it's not really a big deal. And I consider myself a journalist, so obviously I'm guilty of the same thing. But I feel like the people writing that Lana is like the worst thing to feminism ever. I feel like that's way off, like way off the stretch. So yeah, I'll really have Doja Cat video coming next. Like, I'm subscribing the video, and peace out, guys.